So today we're troubleshooting an old York furnace. This thing is running an air conditioner in downflow configuration, so it's pushing the air this way, and our coil's in the bottom going into ductwork. It's in the ground. Anyway, they're complaining that it was kicking in and out. It would run for a moment and then it would kick back off. Run for a moment and then kick back off. So we began troubleshooting. Went and turned on the thermostat to cool, and right now it's just off because this switch is not pressed in. So I'm going to press this switch in and we're going to just see what happens. So when I hold this in, air conditioner starts, blower starts. You can feel our line down here is getting cold and this line's getting mildly warm. We know our outdoor unit is running. There. For some reason the blower just kicked out. See right here we've got our cool terminal. So we should be getting 120 volts to this wire. So I was thinking maybe the control module had failed. Switch to volts alternating current. And we'll check this. We're getting 119 volts. And for some reason the blower is just not kicking on. But the blower should be kicking on because that wire is going straight to the motor. When the motor kicks on, you'll see it draws 116 volts. So check the amp draw on the motor. You can see we draw 28 amps for a moment and then it kicks out. So that's a lot of amperage. So next thing we're going to check is the start components of it, because we know that our control is good, it's sending voltage to our blower motor. So we're just going to ground out these terminals here on the capacitor to each other and then to the base of the unit. So we know we're good to pull the wires off. Then put our meter into microfarads, and with this particular unit this will also test continuity and ohms and a couple other functions in this slot. So when we stick it on there, watch what happens. It's reading 5.3 ohms. Now I can select specifically to get it into microfarads. So this should give us a microfarad reading. But when I hold it on here, and we're getting good contact, it just says OL. And that would be the same as if I cross them here. So I think that this capacitor is internally shorted. So we're going to pull that out of there. So this capacitor doesn't really appear to be swelled in any significant way. You can see it's a 15 microfarad 370 volt capacitor. Let's go get a new one and put it in and see if it solves our problem. I will say it's also kind of funny how they have like one of every kind of air conditioner, except for this one, and the one on that end are the same. We did have the right capacitor. It actually fell out of the band when I opened the door, so it must be excited about today. So when you're replacing a capacitor, you want to make sure that it matches microfarads and that the voltage matches, or the voltage exceeds the voltage of the one that you're replacing. So if this one right here said 440 volts, then we could put only a 440 volt equivalent in there. But since this is a 370 volt, we could put a 440 or a 370 volt into it. So they're only compatible one way. The one you're replacing has to be met or exceeded on that rating. So I'm just gonna plug this thing in here, and the strap is obviously not the right size, so we're gonna use a zip tie. Let's watch our amp draw on the motor. Let's see if it takes care of our amp reading problem. Look at that, drop back down to 12. So 12 is a little bit higher than I expected, but I don't know what horsepower that motor is. To be frank, a 15 microfarad capacitor is also bigger than I expected. I was kind of so it's probably like a pretty big blower. But yeah, I'm guessing that's going to take care of our problem. We'll probably put it back together, put the doors back on the unit, and just make sure it runs for a while. But I think all we had was a bad capacitor. So this is the unit I actually had to fix a leak on, I think, a couple years ago. So I converted it to new 22, which is R422B. You can see we got our gauges set to that. And we're running 36 degrees vapor saturation temperature, so we're going to be fine on this thing. Won't have to adjust the charge at all. Also put a fresh filter in the system, and Larissa's getting the condensing coil all rinsed out good. Didn't look too bad, but decided to do it because there is a little bit of stuff